This is the brand new Nikon ZR. And yes, there R in the name stands for RED. Over the past few weeks I had the pleasure of thoroughly testing the new mini RED camera. And in this video I will explain to you what the ZR is, what it can do and who it might be the right thing for. I'm David, you are watching the Vision in English, and let's go. A big thanks goes to Paulo Porter, who worked together with me on this video. Go also check out his video about his opinion about Nikon's ZR over on his channel. A little over a year ago, Nikon acquired cinema camera manufacturer RED, originally stemming from a legal dispute between the two over raw video in Nikon's cameras. Since the takeover, it's been pretty clear that Nikon would incorporate RED's know-how into its own cameras. This began with analog LUTs using RED color science and continued with the introduction of RED cameras featuring a Nikon Z mount. Now we have the first Z camera with a true RED DNA flowing through its circuits. A real hybrid and Nikon's very first camera, clearly and uncompromisingly tailored for the video and content creator needs and market. And by the way, this is a pre-production camera with pre-release firmware, so things may change by launch, keep that in mind. The ZR is a small and compact filmmaker and content creator focused camera, which is supposed to cost a totally wild €2,350. That puts it in the same price range as the Sony ZV-E1, which is likely its biggest competitor. But the ZR offers much more and immediately becomes interesting for anyone already in the Nikon ecosystem who's been missing a proper video solution. But not only that. The Nikon ZR is also interesting for Sony shooters, since E-mount lenses can be adapted to the Z mount. Nikon would of course rather see the ZR as a competitor to Sony's FX3 or to the brand new Canon C50, but I don't see it quite there, even though it has some advantages over those. But let's take a closer look at the camera itself. Can you find the camera sexy? Yes, of course, if you are a nerd like me, and I think this thing is incredibly sexy. If it were a photo camera with a fixed lens and a red dot on the front, it would sell like hotcakes just for its looks. But this is a video focused camera. To be honest, it has a rather quirky handling with no grip at the front at all. But Small Rig will fix this soon after launch. Unfortunately, there are no 1/4 inch mounting holes on the top or sides of the body, like with a real proper video focused camera. The camera is much smaller than you would expect given everything it can do, but Nikon has reduced it to the essentials and done what I've been waiting for in such cameras for years. If you're going to skip the EVF in a camera, at least make the display really big. And this one is. Nikon has fitted a stunning fold-out 4-inch display on the back with 3 million dots of resolution, 1000 nits maximum brightness and a 16:10 aspect ratio, the perfect display for such kind of camera and a huge advantage over any competitor. It's a pleasure for the eyes, and that's great, because you will be looking a lot on this display to operate the camera. Nikon hasn't completely redesigned the user interface, but has added important features like a video quick menu. Still, there are few things missing, which I will get to later. The other key part of this camera is already familiar. The sensor is the fast one from the Nikon Z6 III, which maybe didn't totally convince me in that model, but does a great job, for example in the Lumix S1 Mark II. And right off the bat in the ZR it feels like a completely different sensor compared to the Z6 III. It gets wild when you realize it's not just red on the outside, but also red on the inside. This little camera can record red RAW in 6K up to 60 FPS and also cropped 4K with 120 FPS in RAW. Yes, this is a proper baby RED camera for €2,350 with a fast, partially stacked full-frame sensor, IBIS stabilization and above all autofocus. Usable with Z mount or even with adapted E-mount lenses. But RED RAW isn't all. It's also pretty important to have RED's color science. Maybe that's the thing most people are excited for in this camera. The RED RAW in this camera isn't a full-fledged 16-bit RED RAW, yes, but it's rather just RED RAW NE. Maybe that stands for Nikon edition, and it has 12 bits of color depth. Nikon claims the ZR can capture more than 15 stops of dynamic range, which would be impressive. Also new in this quasi-RED, dual base ISO with settings at ISO 800 and 6400, and switching between them is elegantly more than on most other cameras I've used over the past years. What you can pull out of RED RAW in Log 3G10 and RED's wide gamut RGB in this ZR, I explored together with my friend Paolo Porter while working with this camera. We produced a little short film to show the capabilities. Check it out. For this little short, we used Plaza Mantis lenses, which are anamorphics with 1.33x squeeze factor and are nearly perfect for 16:9 sensors. Unfortunately, compared to like Lumix S1 Mark II, the ZR lacks open gate recording. That's a shame, because we know the sensor is capable of it without any problem. But let's quickly go through the rest of the specs. As mentioned, 6K 60 FPS in RED RAW, but not just in RED RAW. The ZR can also record video in crazy 3 different RAW video formats. Sony doesn't even have one. Nikon's own NRAW is included, but I've never had good experiences with it on the Z6 III. And it also can record in ProRes RAW. Additionally, there's 4K 120 in crop mode, also RAW, also every 3 formats. And compressed, you get 5.4K 60 FPS. As known from the Z6 III, also downsampled. And most of the rest is also similar to its sister model. Even without RAW, the camera now features a new red color profile, and the ability to load LUTs into the camera is also present. But let's take a closer look at the color reproduction, which is quite convincing. We compared the ZR with Paolo's RED Komodo and with the Lumix S1 Mark II, which uses the same sensor. There's barely any visible difference between the ZR and the real RED. Maybe a little bit different tint, since the white balance settings can differ from camera manufacturer to camera manufacturer, but that's really impressive. And it will make many RED users very happy, as it's the cheapest way to get current RED color science, and it's really cheap for that. The S1 Mark II unfortunately loses out here, both in Vlog and in Arilog. It looks too punchy for me. I much prefer the color reproduction of the Nikon ZR. And compared to the perhaps second best color science, Canon's, I also like it a lot. The RED RAW here has a slight green tint, while the Canon leans to the warmer, more magenta side. And the noise performance is also really good for a Nikon camera, which shooting RAW. I wasn't really happy with the Z6 III in log and RAW, but the ZR is a dream. For example, we shot these scenes at dusk with the Typox Chimera C lenses in RED RAW mostly in the high ISO, dual base ISO preset.
Take me to the sky, I got a good feeling. Tell me the only thing you are is mine now. Na, 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 na. I got a good feeling. Na, 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 na. I got a good feeling, good feeling. You wanna know is how to hold on to it every moment. Dive into it.
And as you can see from my lens choices, I didn't use the autofocus that often, which this quasi-red now has. But even with the 24-70 Nikon included with the camera, for me, there were no issues at all. And having a camera that is that capable in recording red RAW internally and also offers a capable autofocus opens brand new possibilities to all that want this red color science and this red RAW workflow. But as you may have noticed, the camera doesn't have a built-in fan like the FX3, the C50 or even the S1 Mark II. How does that affect heat management? Surprisingly little during my time with the camera. I shot mostly in red RAW, and while it gets warm at 6K 60 FPS, it doesn't overheat. I could record red RAW as long as the 1.3 TB memory card lasted. I deleted the footage, shot again, and then maybe the battery ran out. Never overheated. The battery lasted about 1.5 hours with 6K 60, which is something you don't often see with big red cameras. A large remount battery sometimes won't last you 2 hours. Outdoors, it might differ with overheating, but for our little short film it was around 30 degrees that day. A full battery was enough for the whole shoot over hours. It's a different story with compressed video and overheating. That sounds odd, but with RAW recording the camera itself has less to do, putting the load on the memory card, writing the footage. When recording compressed video, the processor gets busier and hotter. At 5.4K 60 FPS you will hit an overheating limit after about 50 minutes. And since the camera uses more power and gets warmer, the battery also runs out about 10 minutes faster in the end. Besides short scenes and just for fun clips, I also shot some talking head videos for my German channel with the camera and had practically no problems there either. And here's something really awesome. The ZR can record 32-bit float audio. Not as with Lumix, only with an external XLR adapter, but even through its mini jack input. Nikon has finally also eliminated my biggest criticisms in terms of audio. There's no annoying bass noise in the audio port, and there's now a digital accessory hot shoe to connect microphones or XLR adapters directly to Nikon's cameras. But you don't even need that if you want to record 32-bit float audio. It works just fine with the microphone jack you already have and with all the microphones you already have. How cool is that? Apparently audio is pretty good even without an external microphone, thanks to the two relatively large microphones on top of the camera, but I didn't test that. So far there's hardly anything to complain about with this camera, except for maybe the questionable handling, yes? I already mentioned that I used CF Express cards, but you will never guess what's used as the second slot. Or maybe yes, it's a micro SD slot. So the best and the worst side by side. Most buyers will probably leave the micro SD slot empty, and that's good. And Nikon made another pretty big no-no. Okay, there's this huge, bright, beautiful, perfect 4-inch display with fantastic resolution, brightness. It's so mwah. But anyone who needs more will be disappointed that the ZR only has a micro HDMI port. Not even the mini HDMI, which Nikon used for a long time, but micro HDMI, which we all have hoped was gone for good. That alone shows it's more a ZVE1 competitor than anything else. If the display could really do anything, you could say, I don't need anything else, but it can't do quite everything. For instance, there's currently no way to de-squeeze anamorphic lenses. For a video camera, that's pretty annoying. And the view assist functions are always not perfect. For example, focus peaking can't be used on the camera's display with red RAW and view assist enabled. But that's probably a bug to be fixed before release or soon after, since this was pre-release firmware. There are also a few handling quirks. The power button is a really annoying button. Not a switch on other cameras, but a button. What can be hidden accidentally more often than I thought, since I tend to hold the camera there when I switch lenses. Wow. The switch from photo to video mode is done by a slider on top, and the camera stays in the last chosen mode. So for example, if you are shooting photos in A mode, switch to video, you are also in A mode. But that's just software things that might be fixed over time. Oh, and we haven't talked about photos at all. The ZR can also take photos. Also pretty good ones. Not the same as with the Z6 Mark III, since it has only electronic shutter. There's no mechanical shutter in front of the sensor, and so it's also no dust shield either. There are two control dials on the camera, as usual for Nikon, but new is the zoom rocker around the record button. It's so annoying that this is the first thing I was to disable. Without a power zoom lens, the rocker just zooms into the image. Of course, there's a tele light on the camera top, and the top buttons are also numbered as normal for video cameras. Yes, Nikon got a lot right here. And in recent years, many functions popular with video shooters have come to the Z9, Z8 and Z6 III via firmware. And the ZR has all of them. Shutter angle, waveform display, etc. The only thing that doesn't fit is the micro HDMI port and the micro SD. Maybe Nikon wanted so much things as possible with micro in the name? In the end, the ZR is less a competitor to the FX3 or C50 and more to the Sony ZV-E1. But with what Nikon has packed here, the ZV-E1 can't keep up with this camera, nor can the FX3 in many respects. For 2,350 euros, you get a camera that makes as few video compromises as we've seen in this price range for a long time or ever. The ZR isn't just a baby red that's an interesting crash cam or B cam for those people already using and owning a big red. It shows that Nikon is determining to enter this market, once again using price as the biggest entry point, just as with what they did with the Z8 and the price changes in the Z6 III. Nikon offers an almost entirely convincing small video camera, and the Z-mount offers a great selection of lenses from Nikon, from Tamron, from Viltrox and other third-party makers that are smaller. And thanks to the adapting possibilities, even those who want the ZR with Sony systems don't have to worry about the dreaded S-word system switch. For example, from Sony it's necessary since you can adapt it to Z-mount. Sony, after all, still puts 3-inch displays in cameras without an EVF, and it's the only manufacturer with no camera that can record raw video. And let's not even start on color reproduction that's nowhere close to Nikon or even to RED. The ZR, as it is now, really ticks a lot of boxes, but above all of it, it makes me extremely curious. If Nikon can launch such a product like this just over a year after acquiring RED, it won't be long before we see a real FX3 or C50 competitor. And if Nikon brings their price hammer to this market, things will get really, really exciting. Links to the Nikon ZR for anyone now feeling inspired are under the video in the video description, and I think this camera is really right for a lot of people. And if you pre-order the camera through my links, you support this channel for free, no cost, and keep helping me doing videos like this. Let me know what you think of the Nikon ZR and the direction Nikon is taking. Leave a comment under the video, and if you have enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That's pretty important for my little English channel, and hit the bell if you don't want to miss any future videos. Here are 2 more videos you can check out afterwards, and that's it for me from today, and see you next time.